Welcome to WhiskyCast, cask strength conversation featuring news and interviews from the world of whiskey. I'm Mark Gillespie, and this is episode number 979 for November 20th, 2022. I'm on location this week at the New Brunswick Spirits Festival in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. Coming up in a few minutes.
We can do things in a little place where you couldn't do in New York. You couldn't give a cab ride home free in New York. You can't. We attract people because we're small.
Frank Scott is the chairman and founder of the New Brunswick Spirits Festival, which is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year after losing the last 2 years to the pandemic. It's one of the best whiskey festivals anywhere, and we'll find out why small can be special on this week's WhiskyCast In-Depth. I'll also have the What I'm Tasting This Week department, your voice, and much more, all on this special edition of WhiskyCast from Fredericton, New Brunswick.
Gabriel Cardarelli here with Dewar's Scotch Whiskey, bringing you the perfect gift idea for the holidays or any occasion. How about a Dewar's custom label or personalized bottle? More in a bit.
And now, a Thanksgiving message from Robin Redbreast.
What am I thankful for? Being on the smaller end of the bird scale.
Happy Thanksgiving from Redbreast, proud sponsor of WhiskyCast.
Let's get started with the news. It's brought to you by the Dalmore. Diageo has acquired a minority stake in England's Oxford Artisan Distillery. The deal came through Diageo's Distill Ventures venture capital unit and gives the spirits giant the opportunity to acquire full control at a future date. Diageo now owns stakes in Australia's Starward Distillery, America's Westward Whiskey, Denmark's Stauning Whiskey, and Kanasuki Whiskey from Japan in the Distill Ventures portfolio. Canadian Club is out with its oldest whiskey yet. The latest example in the Chronicles series is 45 years old, and as CC's Tish Harkis told me here in Fredericton, it's an iconic whiskey.
It's called the Icon. It's 45 years and it's 50 ABV. All of our other ones, our previous whiskeys, have been 45 ABV. We wanted to knock it out of the ballpark, so the Icon is 50 ABV. It's incredible whiskey. It's got some, it brings you right back to the old days of Canadian Club. This one here is as pure as it gets. It's just like 40-year-old, except it's 5% higher.
And this is the predecessor to what will eventually become a 50-year-old at some point, right?
Well, that's the plan. Now, with the world today, the world of whiskey today, as you know, everything changes so much. Everything's always changing. So we're saying yes to a 50-year-old. We have extra liquid. But you never know. Innovation is the way to go right now. So I'm hoping that you and I are going to be talking in 5 years about 50-year-old. And I just can't make the promise anymore because I know we're going to innovate like crazy over the next 5 years. So there's a 50-50 chance of having a 50-year-old. We keep breaking our own record as far as Canadian whiskey goes. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to do a 50-year-old, yes.
The Canadian Club 45-year-old is priced at $500 Canadian each. No word on U.S. pricing. Meanwhile, Crown Royal has come out with its oldest whiskey yet, a 29-year-old rye. It's a one-time offering that will be available in 10 U.S. states at a recommended retail price of $399 U.S. each. Only 6,000 bottles will be available. Canada and the U.S. are finally getting the J.P. Weiser's 10-year-old Canadian whiskey that made its debut several years ago in Europe. Master blender Dr. Don Livermore has been itching to get this one into Weiser's home market for some time now.
Mark, I'm just so excited because I think there is a need in the Canadian whiskey premium category. There's a gap. We need a good-priced whiskey that's age-declared in Canada. And the initial first month of the release of it, all across Canada and the whiskey tastings I've done, people are so excited about it. And I can't wait to see what the next 6 to 12 months brings.
Why did it take so long to get it into Canada?
I just think it was just timing for us. I think it's just we have a lot of other brands going on, but we saw the success elsewhere, and why meddle with success? And we can see the awards with it as well. It's won gold medal at the San Francisco Whiskey Awards, and that just reconfirms to us why it should come to Canada, and it's in the U.S. as well.
You can find my tasting notes for the Weiser's 10-year-old at the WhiskyCast website, and we'll hear more from Don Livermore later in the show. In other news, Nevada's Frey Ranch Distillery is out with 2 new whiskeys. The Quad Malt Bourbon uses the same 4-grain mash bill as Frey Ranch's flagship 4-grain bourbon, but all of the grains are malted on site. There's also a 100% malted corn bourbon using grain grown on the ranch. The whiskeys are available exclusively at the distillery in Fallon, Nevada. Jackie's Icahn's Hidden Barn brand is coming out next month with its second series of bourbons. The whiskey comes from 10 barrels distilled at M.B. Rowland Distillery using a high rye mash bill. Series 2, batch number 1, will be available in Kentucky, Colorado, and online with a recommended retail price of $74.99 a bottle starting on December 1st. And December 1st is when Wyoming Whiskey celebrates its 10th anniversary with a special release. The 10-year anniversary edition comes from barrels filled in the fall of 2011, a year before the very first release of Wyoming whiskey. The 10-and-a-half-year-old bourbon went on sale in Wyoming this weekend. The rest of the country gets it on December 1st at $200 a bottle. You can keep up on the latest whiskey news all week long at whiskycast.com and on our social media timelines. The news is brought to you by the Dalmore.
Hello, Richard Patterson here, Master Distiller, Master Blender for the Dalmore. You know, whenever the team and I are in the world sharing our exceptional single malt, we like to keep in touch with Mark Gillespie and the latest news from WhiskyCast.
Time now for the WhiskyCast calendar of events brought to you by Catoctin Creek Distilling. Whiskey Life Beirut is December 1st through the 3rd in Lebanon's capital city. Whiskey Fest Las Vegas is December 2nd. McTeers has its final whiskey auction of the year on December 9th in Glasgow, Scotland. Whiskies of the World wraps up 2022 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, December 10th. And the Victoria Whiskey Festival starts off 2023 the weekend of January 19th through the 22nd in Victoria, British Columbia. If you're organizing a whiskey event, please let us know about it. We'll add it to the searchable calendar at whiskycast.com. It's brought to you by Catoctin Creek Distilling, makers of the Virginia Rye Whiskey. You'll find their Roundstone Rye at fine whiskey shops in 26 U.S. states, 3 continents, and online. Visit the new buyvirginiarye.com site for more details, and please drink responsibly.
And now, a message from Robin Redbreast.
Not to throw shade on other holiday gifts, but gift cards, really? First, you can't pour, sip and share them. And second, they're so small that you can easily forget about them. Wait, do people say that about me?
Proud sponsor of WhiskyCast. Redbreast. Pass it on.
WhiskyCast In-Depth is brought to you by Mortlock and the Classic Malts lineup. Once again, I'm in Fredericton, New Brunswick this weekend for the 25th New Brunswick Spirits Festival. Frank Scott and his wife Jackie own the Lunar Rogue Pub here in Fredericton. It's a whiskey bar with more than 900 different whiskeys on the shelf. And as you might guess, they're both whiskey lovers. After missing the last 2 years because of the pandemic, the festival is back. And it's like they never missed a beat here in Fredericton. The master classes are full, and more than 500 people packed the ballroom here at the Delta Fredericton Friday night for the festival's showcase tasting event. I caught up with Frank Scott during one of his rare quiet moments this week.
Tell me, first of all, about the genesis of the New Brunswick Spirits Festival 25 years ago.
Just a crazy idea to try and see if we could get more people drinking whiskey, and I wanted to get a better selection in our province, and of course NB Liquor said, well, there's not a market for it. Why would we bring it in if there's nobody buying it? So I said, well, what if we start a festival and introduce it to more people? And they surprised me and said yes, and we had the first one, and we didn't sell a lot I didn't think it was. I thought it was, oh dear, they're never going to do this again. I think we sold like $5,000 at the show, but we had a liquor store at the show. And they said, well, this $5,000 we didn't have, so let's do it again next year. And it just continued every year, and we've never had a show where we didn't raise the revenue sales every year. In 25 years, we've never had a slip backwards. So that's pretty impressive.
It really speaks to a partnership that you have with ANBL, the Provincial Liquor Corporation. They really seem to be embracing this entire idea.
They really have, and they've taken it. We've taken it to the next level almost every year. We come up with some cool ideas, and we've really we've pushed the envelope. But NB Liquor has been an amazing support, because we want to make sure people come and enjoy themselves, but we want to make sure that it's responsible, and we give everybody a free cab ride home. There's no festivals on the planet would give everybody a cab ride from every event, and we put out 50 some events. If you come to a master class, at the end, if you want to leave, we'll give you a cab ride home. So NB Liquor has been a very responsible, helping us put out this festival on to make sure that people enjoy themselves, sip and savor, but get home safe.
What have you learned from running this festival over the years that other festival operators could learn from, besides having that partnership with NB Liquor?
We've learned that we think of the festival in the eyes of the customer, what they want. So we work with the suppliers, and I've invested time in traveling to the UK and Scotland, building relationships with them over there, and inviting them to come. And I always felt if I got one or got two to come, and they see what we're doing, and they see the enthusiasm of the people that are here, and how their products are so well received, it's contagious, and they want to come back, and they love being able to come out in front of the people and answer the questions. Not everybody can afford to go to the United Kingdom, but it's a lot cheaper to bring one guy over here, and he can talk about their products, and they get to hear it right from the guy that makes it. It just makes it so special for them.
And you've had people like Alan Winchester, who's now become a festival regular, and Martine Nouet, and really a lot of the heavy hitters of the whiskey world here.
We've been very fortunate over the years to build relationships with all the suppliers, but we have built relationships with Alan and Martine, and the people at Glenfiddich have been coming for years. It started way back with the Urquharts from Gordon and MacPhail. Michael was here in the early days, and then Stuart and Richard and Neil. So we've had all the heavy hitters from their company, and we just they get what we do when they come and they see what we're doing and how we are exposing a great customer base to their products, and sip and learn. For us, it's about transportation, education, appreciation, but moderation. So we call it TEAM. That's the goals of the festival, is to educate and appreciate. Whiskey is to be sipped and savored and contemplated over, and that's what we want our customers to do. You know, it doesn't work with everybody, but sometimes bottles are very expensive, and it takes a lot of education to see if they can open up their wallets and get these really good bottles. And now the festival's almost become global. We've now partnered with Tourism New Brunswick, who see that not only is it a festival between a private group and a liquor corporation, but we're putting millions of dollars into the local economy in a soft season. The reason we picked these dates is the Christmas season hasn't started, but the fall leaves are gone. So we've got this 2 or 3 week where the hotels aren't very busy, and they were looking for opportunities, and people can come and try whiskey and get some Christmas presents. So it's kind of worked for us in that respect.
What's the economic impact been, do you think, especially with the bringing in, frankly, folks like me from out of town?
Well, you tell people, and those people hear about it. We started selling on Eventbrite this year for the first time, and we couldn't believe the analytics that we were getting. And my IT guy says, Frank, you got to come see this. This is unreal. He said, you've sold 2 tickets in Rome. I said, Rome, New York. And he said, Rome, Italy. You sold 2 tickets in London. You sold 2 tickets in Edinburgh. We sold tickets in Germany. We've sold 2 tickets to somebody in Baja, California. We sold in Los Angeles, Vancouver, Victoria, BC, and right across Canada. We've sold people in the United States along New York, Miami. And I'm going, my gosh, this is incredible. We've never had these things before to study, but now I can go to tourism and say, look at the impact of what this festival is doing and bringing all these people here. And the hotels are busy. The hotels are all full. So it's a huge benefit for our city. Even though, some of the people in our own town don't know what's going on because we can only sell so many tickets. The building will only hold so many people. So we're kind of a creature of our own success. But, it's pretty cool.
How do you balance all this with running a world-class whiskey bar, too?
I'm blessed to have one of the greatest wives in the world, who is my number 2 and probably the number 1. She keeps me straight and narrow, but she picks up a lot of the heavy lifting at the restaurant while I'm working on the festival. And it still runs 7 days a week, whether we're here or not. So it's... we have a really good team at the pub, and they've been with us for years, and they step in and just do the jobs that have to be done while we're down here and having fun meeting everyone. And but Jackie is my ace, my backup, my biggest supporter, and I'm very, very lucky. And she's from Scotland, and we go to Scotland every year for 5 or 6 weeks for our holiday, visit friends and family, and tour distilleries. And we've been going to the Spirit of Speyside Festival 22 times, almost every. We've only missed one since it started. So we've got a lot of great friends over there that we've met, and we love going over and taking in. And we were the international ambassadors in 2014 for the festival, which was a huge honor. And so it's all the fun stuff that you don't think about, but it makes it fun for us. And what's a big kick for us is to see everybody that comes back and how excited they are to be back here this year with a 2-year hiatus. And they're just like, it's like old home week. You're seeing people you haven't seen, and they're, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you guys, and so excited to be back. And I said, this year's going to be a tough year. We're coming off of a lot of problems with the COVID, but and supply chain issues are been problematic. And they said, we don't care. We just want to be back and be at the festival and see everyone and see Martine and see Alan and we have Woody Kane here for the first time, so we got a new guy we hope is hooked, and he'll be back. And we just keep, and I know that a lot of the companies are just getting back, they're getting their production, but their sales teams back, building them back up. So we know that down the road we're going to see a lot more of the supplier brand representatives coming to the show.
How hard has the supply chain issue been? Because New Brunswick is a small province, and ANBL is a small liquor buyer compared to other wholesale operations. And how hard has it been to get product in for the festival?
Our relationships that we've built with the suppliers over the years have been really important for a little festival. But sometimes they only have so much product for the whole country. And I used to say to them, look, if you only have 100 cases, why don't you just put it in New Brunswick? You know that we will do it right, and we'll promote your product to the best of our ability, and you can come and present it. 100 cases to LCBO is nothing. They get 490 liquor stores. They can't put 100 cases where you can come to a small province who would appreciate it, savor it, and reward you with happy customers and I think they buy into that a little bit, and we've been very blessed that we have great friends in the UK who've been coming here for years, and they like to help us. So, yeah, it is challenging, though. I mean, this year, just getting shipments out of Scotland has been problematic. We're still waiting on product to arrive that should have been here 3 months ago is coming in today. Like last night, a tractor trailer came into NB Liquor's warehouse at 10:30 at night. They brought in a crew to unload it, and they're repackaging it, and it's coming down here today. So you can't buy that kind of support from it just all falls together. I don't know how, but it does.
When do you start planning for next year?
Probably take 2 weeks off, and then we've got our first meeting planned for December the 13th. We dissect this one. We look at where we went well and where we might have fallen. We like to, if we do have a problem, most of our customers wouldn't know it. It's all back house. It's seamless out front. The customer's just enjoying themselves. But I said, we would have liked to have had a few more interesting products. But they said, look, we understand what's going on in the world. And most of them are getting educated. When we started back 25 years ago, people wouldn't even know how to spell whiskey properly. And now everybody has got a lot more knowledge because of the education that we shared through these classes. The master classes are educational, and we really feel it's an important part of our program to bring the people that make it and visit to New Brunswick, and they can get to talk to people. And people want knowledge. They want to know more about product. They want to know what they're buying, and they don't mind spending for quality, and they've like to talk to the people that make it. And we've been really lucky that we've been able to get them to come here. But I think we do. I like to use the term, we have the power of small. We can do things in a little place where you couldn't do in New York. You couldn't give a cab ride home free in New York. You can't. We attract people because we're small.
Next year's New Brunswick Spirits Festival will be November 14th through the 18th of 2023. It's already on my calendar, but there will be someone missing next year. I mentioned Martine Nouet during our interview. She's been hosting master classes and doing the whiskey and food pairings for the New Brunswick Festival for many years now, but this is her final year. She's decided to scale back on her whiskey writing work, and we talked shortly after she made the announcement at lunch on Wednesday.
Well, I don't use the word retirement. Retirement for me, it's a rude word because I don't retire. I will do something else. I don't know what yet, but probably go back to more cooking classes. I think I don't cook well enough. That's what I think. My friends don't say that, but that's what I think. I will travel more, and I will write, probably do a more personal writing, maybe. And, of course, enjoying whiskey, drink whiskey, share whiskeys with my friend, but I've decided that I'm not going to work again on whiskey.
And you chose to make New Brunswick your final festival, right?
Yes, it's my, swan songs, but not in a sad way, because this festival is my favorite festival. I've got all my friends here. I've done things that I've not done anywhere else, because Frank always said to me, you think out of the box, you can do what you want. And like when I did this dance and whiskey pairing, it was quite a challenging thing for Frank. I did music, and in a few hours I'm going to go to Beaverbrook Gallery and do an art and whiskey pairing, a whiskey paired with a painting. It's all what I love to do. And here I was given the opportunity to do exactly what I dreamt of. So.
Why did you decide to make this decision now?
What made me take the decision? A question maybe, I'm not a spring chicken, or far from that. I think I've worked, written about whiskey and spirits for maybe 35 years. I've learned a lot. I've done so many things, but now I think that I've explored so many avenues that I don't have any new things to bring, and I don't like to repeat myself. So, and also probably a question of age and change of life maybe, and I don't know if I should say that, but I can. I've met a wonderful man, and so I would like to be closer to him, and he doesn't live on island, so all these things.
So we can blame this on a guy.
Love. It's love. It's not a guy. It's love. No, don't blame him. But he agrees with me about that because, well, we're the same age and we want to do more things together. Maybe we love poetry, so maybe read more poetry, maybe write poetry, who knows.
Of course, we wish her the best, though we'll follow her lead and not refer to it as retirement anymore. That's WhiskyCast In-Depth. It's brought to you by Mortlach, whiskey's best-kept secret. Hidden away for decades in some of the world's most famous Scotch whiskies comes a single malt inspired by an original for a fortunate few. Discover the entire Mortlach lineup at malts.com. The What I'm Tasting This Week department is brought to you by Sagamore Spirit. Let's start off with the Canadian Club Chronicles 45-year-old whiskey we heard about during the news. The Icon, as it's called, is bottled at 50% ABV. The nose is soft and creamy with a slight herbal touch and hints of vanilla and honeysuckle. The taste is full of wood spices along with toasted oak, honey, dark fruits, and hints of leather and tobacco. The finish is nice and long with dark fruits and subtle spices. And I'm scoring the Canadian Club Chronicles 45-year-old a 94. One of the whiskeys they poured during the festival's Ultimate Masterclass Friday was the Cragganmore Flavor Lead. It's a rare $2,000 cask strength edition bottled at 55.7% ABV. The nose has notes of peaches and tree fruits, dried flowers, and a subtle touch of dry spices. The taste has notes of honeysuckle, tree fruits, dark chocolate, and a hint of smokiness. The finish is long with cinnamon spices, tree fruits, and dark chocolate. I'm scoring the Cragganmore Flavor Lead Edition a 94. I'll have more tasting notes in just a minute. But first, this week's tasting notes are brought to you by Sagamore Spirit, a 100-time award-winning Maryland-style rye whiskey. With a determined focus to create the best rye imaginable, Sagamore's team of distillers crafts each spirit with a nod to both tradition and innovation. Find their signature Double Oak, Cask Strength, or Reserve series of rye whiskeys, as well as their line of premium rye whiskey canned cocktails at a retailer near you. Visit sagamorespirit.com/find-rye. Please drink responsibly. Got to try the Bowmore 22-year-old Aston Martin edition here in Fredericton as well. It's matured in ex-bourbon and Oloroso sherry casks and finished in tawny port pipes. It's bottled at 51.2% ABV. The nose has a great balance of subtle smoke, honey, heather, and dried flowers. The taste has a thick, syrupy mouthfeel with cinnamon and white pepper spices, honey, heather, and dried fruits, while the finish is long and spicy. I'm scoring the Bowmore 22-year-old Aston Martin edition a 94. And finally, Alberta Distillers is out with the new Rifle Rye, named for the distillery's first master distiller. It's a blend of 91% pot still rye, 6% Old Grandad bourbon, and 3% Oloroso sherry to add complexity. It's bottled at 42% ABV. The nose has great rye spices, along with sherry notes of figs, dates, toffee, and just a hint of brown sugar. The taste is thick and spicy, with clove and cinnamon notes on top of figs and dates underneath, with a long, dry finish. I'm scoring the Rifle Rye from Alberta Distillers a 92. The What I'm Tasting This Week department is brought to you by Sagamore Spirit. I'll be adding these tasting notes to our searchable list of more than 3,400 different whiskeys from all over the world. Check it out this week at whiskycast.com.
Hey friends, Gabriel Cardarella here again from Dewars. The holidays are right around the corner. That time of year where each of us are looking for that perfect bottle of whiskey to celebrate with our friends and family. This year at Dewars, we're making things extra special by offering personalized bottles of Dewars or custom Dewars labels. Just visit Dewars.com and create your custom label or personalized bottle, and we'll ship it right to you or a special person. This year, let's celebrate the holidays with a bottle of the world's most awarded blended Scotch whiskey, Dewars.
Let's open up the inbox now for Your Voice, presented by Scarabus Islay Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. Got this comment from our friend Watchman999 on last week's live webcast with Lochley Distillery's John Campbell. Truly sad I missed this. John has such a great perspective on his work and his life path. I will watch this over the weekend. Enjoy all that Canadian East Coast hospitality this week, Mark. And if your return flight passes through Calgary, let me know and I'll join you for a dram. Cheers. Well, I don't think I'm going anywhere near Calgary, but the next time that happens, I'll be sure to let you know. If you have a comment, suggestion, or anything else you'd like to share with whiskey lovers around the world, you can always find me on social media. Just look for WhiskyCast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Or you can email me. The address is comments@whiskycast.com. Your Voice is presented by Scarabus, the Islay single malt from Hunter Lang & Company that celebrates all of Isla's natural gifts in one bottle. Only those who seek shall find Scarabus. Start your search at hunterlang.com. Let's close out the show now with Behind the Label, our look at the history, science, and people who make whiskey unique. It's brought to you by Writer's Tears. What's in a name? Well, lots of things. But there's never really been a name for whiskey lovers until now. Dr. Don Livermore has solved that linguistics problem. He's coined the word ooskophile.
It's the root word for ooskabetha, which is the water of life, and I had to think, hey, what better word is an ooskophile? It connects to our roots, our heritage, where the word came from, and I think we need it. There's a word for wine lover, there's a word for beer lover. Why is there not a word for whiskey lover?
Ooskophile. I like it. If you have something you'd like us to look at on an upcoming episode, just use the contact form at whiskycast.com to get in touch with us. Behind the Label is brought to you by Writer's Tears.
Writer's Tears Copperpot, an 18th century style of premium Irish whiskey, blended from single pot still and single malt. Like yourself, it's one of life's treasured rarities, and what's rare is wonderful. Writer's Tears Copperpot.
That's all for this edition of WhiskyCast. Our special thanks go out to the New Brunswick Spirits Festival and Tourism New Brunswick for making this week's episode possible. You'll find links for the stories in this episode in our show notes at whiskycast.com. That's also where you'll find the latest whiskey news, my tasting notes, the calendar of events, the whiskey photo of the week, and, of course, a complete archive of all of our past episodes that goes all the way back to 2005. Get in touch with us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at WhiskyCast. The email address, comments@whiskycast.com.
And now, a message from Robin Redbreast.
A thoughtful gift is hard work. What you need is a go-to multi-purpose gift for all occasions. A bottle of Redbreast can say, enjoy every minute, they grow up so fast. And equally nails, apologies for the back pain, I should have just hired a moving company.
Proud sponsor of WhiskyCast. Redbreast. Pass it on.
Friends, it's Gabe again, reminding you that one of the best gifts you can give this year is one that's double-aged. Visit Dewar's.com and create a custom label or bottle of our 12-year, 15, or our 18-year and give a gift they'll never forget. Stay curious, and please drink responsibly.
WhiskyCast is a production of Cask Strength Media, copyright 2022, and usually comes to you from the charming, yet regrettably dry town of Haddonfield, New Jersey, but this week is coming to you from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. I'm Mark Gillespie, reminding you that when you drink, please drink responsibly. Thanks for listening.